house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 18 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Grandma Nana. Guys, get ready for this. This is amazing. Grandma Nana sent this card in the mail. Look at how cute these little babies are. Okay, and the best part is this is her house guest of the day request. She said she's not up on the internet, so she couldn't do the whole Patreon thing, but she wrote me this lovely note and included her dollar for a holla. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen. This is hilarious. I love it. It's amazing. So Grandma Nana wants to know, well, first of all, she loves watching the repeat commercials on Big Brother After Dark. Yes! You just start to memorize them after a while and you learn to love them. But she wants to know, what do I think of the battle back twist? Do I think it's unfair to Glenn? Alright. Here's my thing. I love the battle back twist. I think it's very Redemption Island, like on Survivor. I like that they're competing multiple times to get back into the house. And I think it sucks for Glenn that he would have to win way more than anyone else to get back in the house. But at the same time, he's spent all of this time away from the game. So it's kind of like in a tournament where you've got like your first seeds and then you've got like your fourth seeds or whatever. So like those weaker teams are going to have to win more to make up for it. You know what I mean? So I think it's pretty fair, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Seriously? That's the best. Okay, so anyway, if you guys want to be house guest of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below, or just send me, like, mail. Sure. It's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on, because things are getting crazy. So yesterday, Frank was trying to get some info from Bridget in the kitchen, and you know how Frank is, how he's like, he's got to get what he wants. He's determined. And let's just add, there's another layer on top of this. Frank was a little bit intoxicated because they were sipping on that sangria that they made the night before. So Frank is asking Bridget, so what's going on? Are the girls after me yet? And Bridget's being really coy about this. She's like, she said, well, they're targeting strong players, and you're a strong player. But she wasn't like, they're coming after you, mofo. But Frank is like, tell me, I'm on your team, right? It was like kind of creepy. And Bridget's like, well, no. So she's like, I'm scared to tell you stuff because you haven't even talked to me in like a week and we're supposed to be on the same team. Like, what's the deal with this? So they go back and forth like that for a little bit. Frank seems to be getting frustrated with her because he's not getting what he wants. Also, like I said, he's a little bit buzzed. So after a while, she's just like, I want to be included more. And he's like, yo, the only reason that I'm not talking to you is because I thought we were good. Like, you're my girl, blah, blah, blah. We'll come back to that. So, meanwhile, we got freaking Victor walking around thinking he's got all these votes to stay this week. Come on, man. Do better. Then we've got Tiffany going around to everyone in the 8-Pack Alliance, trying to make sure that she's good for this week, good to go. And they're all telling her, like, yeah, you're fine. Like, it's fine. We're just trying to make Victor feel comfortable so that we can all have a good week. And he's not going to be like, bleh! So they tell her, though, like, they're 100% keeping her. And it seems like at that, you know, at this point, they're telling the truth. And they're not planning on flipping the vote to keep Victor. I mean, there is that chance because there is a lot of tension with Tiffany and some other people. But it does seem like they're keeping her this week. So then Frank and Bridget reconvene in the HOH room. And Frank is all like, you're my girl. I haven't been talking to you that much because I thought we were both safe and like we were fine. But give me some information. So like after a few minutes of that, Bridget starts freaking spilling the beans. What are you doing? She's like, the girls want the guys out. So she even throws Bronte and Natalie, her fellow spy girls, under the bus. She's like, yeah, they're part of it. Those girls just want to make it to the jury, and I think we should make that happen for them, and then we can get rid of them. Whoa! So Frank is like, well, one of those two isn't going to make the jury. So Bridget's like, oh, what? Which one? Bronte? And Frank's just like, let's just say that's a good guess. Okay. So then Bridget is just spilling more and more information. She's selling out Tiffany. She's like, yeah, remember that night that you and Tiffany got in that squabble, and then Tiffany was like venting in the London room and I was in there. That was the night that Tiffany like called him a male chauvinist and stuff. So Frank is like, yeah, I know Tiffany wants me out, but she's not making it to jury either. So then Frank freaking does his own bean spilling, and he's like, guess what? I was gonna say Victoria. Tiffany is Vanessa's sister. Yeah, he told Bridget, and Bridget's like, oh, well, whatever. So they're both talking about how they think that Tiffany is dumb for not telling everyone about this the way that Paulie did, and Frank's like, yeah, that's gonna freaking ruin her game. So then Frank was talking to Michelle, and he's trying to mend fences between Michelle and Bridget. There's a lot of tension there. They're on the same team, but remember when Bridget was all like, oh, shave off Michelle's eyebrows, and Michelle found out about it, and like there's a lot going on there. But earlier when Frank and Bridget were talking, Bridget's like, what do I do about this whole Michelle thing? And he's like, I'll try to smooth it over for you, but you need to figure that shit out. So Frank was talking to Michelle, and he was like, I don't want to get to a point where either of you start throwing these competitions so that you can get rid of each other, and he sure as hell doesn't want the other teams thinking that the two of them are not getting along. So he's like, you guys need to just like talk, sit down, and figure it out. So then they were also talking about how Tiffany has to go soon, and it seems like Michelle is not into this whole Girls Alliance thing. She's ready to sell them out too. She's freaking kissing those vets' butts. So then Big Brother did end up giving the house guests a 4th of July party, so the feeds were down for a while the house guests enjoyed music, barbecue, pizza, and alcohol. And of course it's not a party without the have-nots getting to participate, so they got to enjoy all that goodness too during the party. Alright, so then Paul and Victor were chatting, and Victor was just like, yeah, I think I got the votes to stay. So he's going through his votes, and he's like, I got Frank, I got Nicole, I got Day, I got Corey, and I think, hopefully, I've got Natalie, too, but I'm going to have to talk to her again at some point. I don't think you have those people, and definitely not Natalie, because, like, Natalie has been really unhappy with Victor. She doesn't like how he led her on and then, like, dumped her before. We didn't even see that happen because it happened all before the feeds came on for the first time. But she's still talking about it. She's still, like, crying about it. She's insulted and hurt. And I think that's part of why she's, like, latching on to James now. But anyway, he wants to just sit back now that he's done some work and let Paul and Frank campaign for him. Because he doesn't want to, like, overwhelm everybody. You let us know how that goes. Check back in with us on Thursday and let us know how it goes for you. But then at the same time, Victor brings up, he's also realizing it's kind of weird that Paulie decided to veto one of his own nominees. Yeah, you think? Why would he do that? Come on. Alright, so then last night, the house guests were having some fun with the phones in the HOH room and the London room. A bunch of the guys were up in the HOH. Most of the girls were in the London room. And we got, like, Natalie talking to James. We got Zakiya talking to Paulie and all this stuff. And the only thing I have to say about this is that Zakiya is so freaking good at accents and impressions. It was hilarious. Zakiya should have her own show of just, like, her doing imitations. It would be great. But anyway, later on, there was a very important guy chat. Guy chat alert. So we've got Frank, James, Paulie, and Corey all talking. And Frank is relaying some of the info that he freaking pulled out of Bridget earlier. Actually, he didn't really have to pull it out of her. She was just like, this is what I know. But he's like, yeah, so it's official. Tiffany doesn't like me. Duh. So then they all confirm, like, even though there's all this Tiffany drama, they are still getting rid of Victor this week. And then they can go after Tiffany or Bronte. And then when those two are gone, they can get rid of Paul. So then they were talking about the next HOH competition, and they're all saying that they're cool with giving Zakiya the next HOH because her birthday's next week. Since when are we just, like, giving HOHs away to people? Like, don't get me wrong, I think Zakiya is great, but, like, you shouldn't be giving an HOH to anyone. That's insane. But they feel really comfortable with her. They feel good about Day and Nicole. And they don't think that they're part of this, like, girls' alliance thing that could be forming. One other thing I have to say about yesterday, Day was rebraiding her hair all damn day yesterday. And I just have to say, like, I got so much respect for her patience and her determination to get that all done in one day. That was amazing, and she did a great job. So, like, yes. I would be scared if I was in that house with her after seeing that display of, like, amazingness. Like, that's some serious stuff. Like, be nervous for endurance competitions. But anyway, today, Pauly got the HOH camera. They were having some fun with that. And then Nicole and Day were chatting in the HOH room. Now, this is interesting because we've seen Day going back and forth saying, like, we gotta get Tiffany out. She says that to Frank. And then when she's talking to like, somebody like Tiffany, she's like, we gotta get rid of Frank. So it's hard to figure out what she's really thinking. But then Nicole and Day were chatting, and they're both like, Frank's gotta go. So Frank has been going around saying that for the next 2 HOHs, James and Nicole's teams have to throw it so that they can get rid of, like, Bronte and Tiffany. They don't like that. They don't like the idea of them having to throw these competitions and then Frank's team is freaking still intact. He's still got 4 people on it. So they also noticed that Frank has been making a lot of deals all around the house, like Final 4s, Final 3s, whatever. He's talking to everybody. And they've noticed that he is very, very close with Pauly and Corey. So that's making them nervous. So then Day was like, yeah, I'd love to get rid of Frank and Tiffany. Wow. Imagine she could get both of those done. Wow. All right. So then Day was talking to Zakiya about getting rid of Frank next week. So she's trying to go through the votes. She thinks that they would have herself, obviously, Zakiya, Nicole, Tiffany, Michelle, and Natalie. I would be pretty worried about Michelle, and she did mention there's a possibility that Michelle could flip, so she's going to try to work on James, potentially. I don't know if James would go for that, getting rid of another vet so early, especially Frank, but I don't know. We'll see, but she was also bringing up an interesting point. It would not be good for them to be HOH next week. They would have to put Frank up as the roadkill nominee because they can't lose their own vote. Like, if you're HOH, you can't vote. And this would probably be a very close vote. So, like, they need everything they can get. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. And I'm getting nervous about this plan because I feel like it's starting to really spread around. And I think Day needs to be very careful. But yeah, that's what's going on right now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who do you think's gonna go first, Tiffany or Frank? Let me know. And until tomorrow, much love.